What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for August 26, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Quick housekeeping note before we get into things. There will not be a new Back to the Future this week. I'm prepping for the Eagles season preview special, so stay tuned for that. Like I said the other day, it's a good day to catch up on some of the archives and see what you've been missing. We just talked about the 94 baseball strike. The episode before was about Andrew Bynum, brought back some memories about the Sixers. Not very different from the circus that's going on now with the Sixers, but be sure to check out the archives, subscribe so you can get set up and ready for the new season, so to speak, as we get into football season. That's Back to the Future with a PH, wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. All right, Union back in action tonight in their MLS portion of the schedule, getting ready for the playoff push. They're in D.C. against D.C. United. They are currently third in the Eastern Conference, 3 points behind second place, 11 points out of first. They actually are tied as well, so it should be exciting down the stretch. Looking forward to some hot soccer action, or football, as they say everywhere else. Speaking of those Sixers, not really much update in the way of Harden, but I have noticed more and more now that the NBA did the investigation and they know why or what he was talking about when he called him a liar. I'm seeing more and more people turn on Harden. So I personally, like, you guys know how I feel. I don't disagree. I mean, I think at some point it's on you, dude. As I go back to the quote Jim Schwartz said all the time, you do dumbass things, people are going to begin to think you're a dumbass. And honestly, this is now your fourth team. You're like the Mad Rapper. Your fourth team, yo. This is your fourth team that you're forcing your way out of. And for those of you who don't know about the Mad Rapper, look it up. But it does appear that the trade market is growing. So that, I guess, from a Sixers standpoint is good, because at least if there's somewhat of a market, they can maximize what they're getting. Tyrese Maxey did address the situation on a podcast the other day. Love this kid. And, I mean, the way he addressed it and handled it was perfect. He was like, hey, man, to each his own. Understand it's a business. No love lost with him. That's his guy, but you got to do what you got to do. He's this, and basically said, look, you got to do what you got to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do and basically focus on the Sixers. Did throw a little subtle shot, and I don't know if it was a shot at Harden or our old pal Ben, but he was like, this isn't our first rodeo. Now, if I can get Embiid as the leader of this team to come out and say something similar, I might actually feel good about where this team is heading. I think the fact the Sixers really haven't said anything, now that we kind of know the situation, makes sense. But I need Joe to come out and say something sort of productive as the leader of this team. And again, I know he's not necessarily that guy, but I would love to hear it. But more on that as it goes. All right, good win for the Phillies, 7-2. Just a solid win. I mean, the offense was great. Christopher Sanchez looked awesome. He's been so solid. Like, that's been, to be honest, like that, if you were going to look at like unsung heroes of this team up until this point, think about that pitching staff and where they were at and where they'd be if Sanchez, remember, they didn't have a fifth starter to start the season. So where would they be if Sanchez didn't really step up and do what he's doing? But it seemed like it was a fun atmosphere on a Friday night down at the park. It was raucous. So lots of fun. They're back in action this afternoon. Rangers Suarez. I think they're the national TV game on Fox this afternoon at 4. So that's always fun to be able to showcase. Now, hopefully this isn't the game to come out and shit the bed and get shut out. But, oh well. Ranger Suarez made some progress in his bullpen session the other day. He feels good. He's going to work out with the pitchers again this afternoon. So that's a good sign, especially with Lorenzen struggling the past 2 starts. If you want more Phillies coverage, check out our friends at 2008 Phils. They have the world's biggest email Phillies newsletter. And for a limited time, they're offering 75% off a subscription for This Day in Philly Sports History listeners. Follow the link in the description to get access to your 75% off. You can't get it throughout the site. The subscription gets you access to everything on their site, and I've been screaming it for months now. It's good content. You get that 2008 World Series Championship banner shirt, access to giveaways and autographs, tickets, things like that. 2008 Phils will follow your Twitter, all for just $2 a month or $20 for the year. Definitely worth it. Just follow that link in the description for your exclusive This Day in Philly Sports History 75% off subscription. All right, Eagles update. Nothing really big on the Eagles front. We're just kind of waiting to see where the roster cuts come from. Not a ton of roster cuts being made. I think everybody's kind of getting the less, milking every little bit out of what the NFL allows. Obviously, everybody has their projections and who they think and who they feel. But to borrow a line from a good guy, Dave Sharapan, nobody knows shit. And until Howie Roseman and the Eagles come out with their projections or their actual final roster, we don't know what's going to happen. However, the biggest news of the day, just a day after we talked about the Cowboys as a possible sort of threat to the Eagles, they went ahead and did the most Cowboys thing ever and traded a 4th-round pick to the 49ers for quarterback Trey Lance. Your team... So let's break this down a little bit. And I don't want to spend... This is a Philly-based podcast, but I think that trade probably ended the Cowboys season. It's going to be a train wreck dumpster fire that you fully expect it to be. Your defense is already talking shit to your quarterback. They're fighting. And your quarterback is publicly saying, I'm not going to throw as many interceptions. So, that's already on his mind. Now, you go out there and you have not only a similar sort of quarterback, but one that came in with a ton of hype. And now every time Dak makes a move and it's not right, people are going to be calling for Trey Lance. Not that they weren't already going to be doing it with Cooper Rush. So it's going to be fun. And you love to see it with the Cowboys, and there's going to be controversy, and it's just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So you got to love it, man. You have to love it. So, want to support your Eagles? I just got my Fly t-shirt, ordered it yesterday. Go to phillygoat.com. Greatest selection in the city of Philly sports-based apparel. Celebrate the demise of the Cowboys and the impending dumpster fire that they will become by getting your Eagle stuff. They still have a little over 2 days left before you can get it for the beginning of the season. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. They have everything you need. They have the Ben Franklin peeing on the Cowboys logo if you want to celebrate the demise of the Cowboys. Go check them out. They have Phillies gear. Trey Turner has been on fire. They have the Trey Hay Kid shirt, the Believe shirts. You name it, they have it. Go check them out. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery. Help yourself out. Help me out. Help them out. And let's just prepare for the Cowboys to implode. All right. Today, we're going to go back to 1916. And on this day, the Philadelphia Athletics beat the Cleveland Indians 5-0 in front of just 2,500 fans at Shibe Park. But the story was Bullet Joe Bush pitched for the A's, and short of a leadoff walk, he was perfect. It was the third no-hitter in A's history. They would end up with 5 total during their time in Philadelphia. And this was one of the lone bright spots for the A's that season. Joe Bush actually was probably hands down their best player. Unfortunately, he led the league in losses with 24, only had 15 wins. The A's themselves only had 36 on the season. They went 36, 117, and 1. Let that sink in. So of their 36 wins, Joe Bush was credited with winning 15 of them. That's like Steve Carlton 1972-esque there. Bush won 42% of the A's wins, where Carlton won 45 of the Phillies wins in 1972. So that's why there was only 2,500 fans at the park. Connie Mack, for all of his credit as being a great manager, he had some great teams, but when his teams were bad, were they bad. But on this day in 1916, it was Bullet Joe Bush pitching the no-hitter for the A's as they beat the Indians 5-0 at Shibe Park. And not too many people are probably still alive, but it doesn't matter because not too many people watched it anyway. But Joe Bush, 15 wins that season, 42% of the A's wins. Okay, 31 questions in 31 days. We discussed the teams in the division already. But what about the other dark horses in the NFC? I think for the most part, everybody kind of says it's the Eagles, Niners, Cowboys are the three teams, and then a group of teams that are right there. And we said we don't think Washington is one of those teams. You could probably knock off some of those other teams. But there are some dark horses. One team that didn't make the playoffs last year is going to come out of nowhere and be the darlings of the season. So who is it? And I think if you start with the NFC North, any team in the NFC North has a shot. It's all four of those teams could be pretty good, and all four of those teams could also be pretty bad. I think the Lions are the team that everyone is picking, but they had some issues with the gambling scandal, with some suspensions. They could be ready, but then you have Jared Goff, who kind of is the ultimate question mark. I think he's like, we talk about the Aldi brand a lot. I feel like Jared Goff is the Aldi brand Kirk Cousins. And speaking of Kirk Cousins, the Vikings are kind of written off, but maybe old Kirk can put together one last hurrah. He does have Justin Jefferson. They don't have Dalvin Cook this year, though, and I've been reading that they're kind of questioning Madison coming out of camp, so I don't know. The Bears have Justin Fields, who has some weapons and has looked good in preseason, but again, it's preseason, so take that with a grain of salt. They could be ready to make the next step. The Packers are the biggest question mark. They have a great defense, but Jordan Love is the big unknown, so you don't know. And like I said, any one of those teams could be good. All four of them could be. And all four of them could be bad as well. The Seahawks are in there. The Seahawks have some nice weapons, a good defense, but I'm not sold on Geno Smith. Yes, he had a great season last year, and he got sort of the discounted big contract, but I'm still in wait-and-see mode with him. I don't know. I'm not sold on him. The Rams out west, I think they're over the hill. I think they're too old. I think you're going to see them actually start once the season gets closer to the trade deadline. They're going to start trading pieces away. Would not be surprised to see Aaron Donald trade it. I don't think you need to worry about the Cardinals at all. They're going to probably be the worst team in the league. And then the NFC South, I mean, you have the Saints, which with Derek Carr, who knows what's going to happen there. The Panthers, they have a rookie quarterback. The Buccaneers, I think, are done, and I cannot think of the third or the fourth team in the NFC South to save my life. That's how good they're going to be. But I think the Saints probably are going to be the class of that division. And why can I not think of that last team? Panthers, Saints, Buccaneers. Oh, my goodness. This is going to bother me now. Anyway, like I said, any of these teams are ready to take like a step maybe, but I don't think they're in the same tier as the Eagles and Niners. And I'm telling you, trends are made to be broken. This is the year that the whole no repeat winner of the NFC East, and I'm going to get more into it later next week, but the Eagles will win the division and end that streak because I think the Cowboys they're a dumpster fire waiting to happen. and you can already see the sparks and the kindling starting to light, the smoke coming out of the dumpster. So stay tuned for that. But again, I think if anybody's going to challenge, it's going to be somebody from the NFC North. It's just a matter of who and how. I think Geno Smith takes a step back. I don't think he's that good. But let me know what you think. Who's the biggest threat outside of the division and the 49ers for the Eagles? Let me know what you think too. Should Joe come out and say something and address the Harden thing, or just wait for camp? Phil's in action on national TV today against the Cardinals. I have to mention too, if you haven't done so already, check out the trailer for the new Jason Kelce documentary. It looks amazing. I think it comes out right around the start of the season. But who else in this city epitomizes the fans more so than Kelce? There's not many. Catch up on Back to the Future. I think it's going to be a decent weekend. Go enjoy yourselves. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.